The National Electrical Code, or NEC, requires that service conductors be protected from physical damage, and this is covered in NEC section 230.49. Running service conductors in rigid conduit above ground is generally acceptable, but it must be installed in a way that protects the conductors from damage. Acceptable methods for providing protection include the following. Encasing the conduit in concrete is a common method of providing protection, especially if the conduit is located in an area where it could be subject to impact or other damage. Using heavy-duty, Schedule 80 rigid conduit provides additional protection against damage. Installing the conduit in a location where it is not likely to be damaged, such as inside a wall or ceiling cavity, can also be considered acceptable. If the service conductors were run up across the ceiling in rigid conduit, to determine if this is acceptable, the following factors should be considered. If the ceiling is in a protected area, such as a closed-off utility room, it may be less likely to be damaged. The higher the conduit is located, the less likely it is to be subjected to impact or damage. The conduit should be securely supported at regular intervals to prevent sagging or movement. If the service conductors are protected from damage by encasing them in concrete, using heavy-duty conduit, or installing them in a protected location, the run described can be considered acceptable. It is important to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation meets all applicable code requirements. Service conductors are the wires that bring electricity from the utility company's transformer to the building's main disconnect. These conductors are the first point of contact for electrical power entering the building, and they carry the full load of electricity that the building uses. Because of the high voltage and amperage that service conductors carry, it is crucial to protect them from physical damage. Damage to service conductors can result in electrical shock, fire, and power outages. The NEC provides specific guidelines for protecting service conductors from physical damage, including requirements for the type of conduit used, the depth of burial, and the location of the conductors. One of the most common methods of protecting service conductors is to encase them in concrete. Concrete provides a strong, durable barrier that can protect the conductors from impact, abrasion, and other types of damage. When encasing service conductors in concrete, it is important to follow the NEC guidelines for the minimum thickness of the concrete and the type of reinforcement used. Another method of protecting service conductors is to use heavy-duty conduit. Heavy-duty conduit, such as Schedule 80 rigid metal conduit, provides additional protection against damage compared to standard conduit. This type of conduit is often used in areas where the conductors are likely to be exposed to impact or other types of physical stress. In some cases, it may be possible to protect service conductors by installing them in a location where they are not likely to be damaged. For example, service conductors can be installed inside a wall or ceiling cavity where they are protected from impact and abrasion. However, it is important to ensure that the conductors are still accessible for inspection and maintenance. When determining the appropriate method of protecting service conductors, it is important to consider the specific conditions of the installation. Factors to consider include the location of the conductors, the type of soil, the potential for impact or abrasion, and the local climate. It is also important to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation meets all applicable code requirements. In addition to the methods described above, there are other ways to protect service conductors from physical damage. These include using cable trays, installing barriers, and providing adequate clearance around the conductors. Cable trays are often used to support and protect service conductors in industrial and commercial buildings. Cable trays are typically made of metal and are designed to provide a safe and organized way to run electrical cables. Barriers can be used to protect service conductors from impact or abrasion. Barriers can be made of concrete, metal, or other durable materials. It is important to ensure that the barriers are properly installed and maintained to provide adequate protection. Adequate clearance around service conductors is important to prevent accidental contact and to allow for proper ventilation. The NEC specifies the minimum clearance requirements for service conductors depending on the voltage and the location of the conductors. It is important to follow these requirements to ensure the safety of the installation. Protecting service conductors from physical damage is essential for ensuring the safety and reliability of electrical systems. By following the NEC guidelines and using appropriate protection methods, it is possible to prevent electrical shock, fire, and power outages. Always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation meets all applicable code requirements. Electrical codes and standards, such as the NEC, exist to safeguard people and property from hazards associated with electrical installations. Adherence to these codes is not merely a suggestion, it's a legal and ethical responsibility for anyone involved in electrical work. The NEC, updated every 3 years, provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical installations, addressing various aspects from wiring methods to equipment specifications. Ignoring these standards can lead to dangerous situations, including electrical fires, shocks, and equipment failures. The consequences of non-compliance can be severe, ranging from fines and legal liabilities to injuries and loss of life. Therefore, understanding and following the NEC is paramount for electricians, contractors, and anyone working with electrical systems. Proper planning is an essential first step in any electrical project. This involves assessing the load requirements, selecting appropriate wiring methods and materials, and ensuring that the electrical system is adequately grounded. Overloading circuits is a common mistake that can lead to overheating, insulation damage, and even fires. It's crucial to calculate the total load that will be placed on each circuit and to select wiring and circuit breakers that are appropriately sized to handle the load safely. Grounding is another critical aspect of electrical safety. A properly grounded electrical system provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and preventing electrical shock. Grounding electrodes, such as ground rods or metal water pipes, must be installed according to code requirements. Regular inspections and maintenance are essential for ensuring the continued safety and reliability of electrical systems. Over time, wiring and equipment can deteriorate due to environmental factors, wear and tear, and other factors. Regular inspections can identify potential problems before they become serious hazards. Maintenance tasks such as tightening connections, replacing damaged wiring, and testing ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, can help prevent electrical accidents. Electrical safety is not just the responsibility of electricians and contractors. Homeowners and business owners also have a role to play in ensuring the safety of their electrical systems. This includes avoiding overloading circuits, using extension cords safely, and keeping electrical equipment away from water. If you notice any signs of electrical problems, such as flickering lights, sparking outlets, or burning smells, it's important to contact a qualified electrician immediately. Ignoring these warning signs can lead to serious consequences. The NEC is organized into chapters that cover various aspects of electrical installations. Chapter 1 covers general requirements, including definitions, wiring methods, and equipment grounding. Chapter 2 covers wiring and protection, including overcurrent protection, grounding, and surge protection. Chapter 3 covers wiring methods and materials, including conduit, cables, and raceways. Chapter 4 covers equipment for general use, including appliances, luminaires, and motors. Chapter 5 covers special occupancies, including hazardous locations, healthcare facilities, and recreational vehicles. Chapter 6 covers special equipment, including electric signs, elevators, and welders. Chapter 7 covers special conditions, including emergency systems, fire alarm systems, and communication systems. Chapter 8 covers communication systems, including telephone, data, and cable television systems. Chapter 9 contains tables and examples that supplement the requirements in the other chapters. Understanding the structure and content of the NEC is essential for anyone involved in electrical work. The NEC provides detailed requirements for various wiring methods, including conduit, cables, and raceways. Conduit is a rigid or flexible tube that is used to protect and route electrical wiring. There are several types of conduit, including rigid metal conduit, or RMC, intermediate metal conduit, or IMC, electrical metallic tubing, or IMT, and flexible metal conduit, or FMC. Each type of conduit has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of conduit depends on the specific application. Cables are assemblies of two or more insulated conductors that are used to transmit electrical power. There are several types of cables, including non-metallic sheath cable, or NM cable, armored cable, or AC cable, and underground feeder cable, or UF cable. Each type of cable has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of cable depends on the specific application. Raceways are enclosed channels that are used to support and protect electrical wiring. There are several types of raceways, including wireways, cable trays, and surface metal raceways. Each type of raceway has its own advantages and disadvantages, and the choice of raceway depends on the specific application. Overcurrent protection is an essential component of any electrical system. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect wiring and equipment from damage caused by excessive current flow. Circuit breakers are electromechanical devices that automatically interrupt the flow of current when an overload or short circuit occurs. Fuses are sacrificial devices that melt and open the circuit when an overload or short circuit occurs. The choice between circuit breakers and fuses depends on the specific application and the desired level of protection. Grounding is another critical aspect of electrical safety. A properly grounded electrical system provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and preventing electrical shock. Grounding electrodes, such as ground rods or metal water pipes, must be installed according to code requirement. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are devices that are designed to protect people from electrical shock. GFCIs monitor the current flowing in the circuit and trip the circuit breaker if a ground fault is detected. GFCIs are required in certain locations such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. Surge protection is used to protect electrical equipment from damage caused by voltage surges. Voltage surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, or other electrical disturbances. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, are designed to divert surge current away from sensitive equipment and protect it from damage. Electrical safety is an ongoing process that requires vigilance and attention to detail. By following the NEC guidelines and using appropriate safety practices, it is possible to prevent electrical accidents and ensure the safety of people and property. Always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that electrical installations meet all applicable code requirements and are installed safely.